I can't paint and flatter somebody at the same time. And the truth is, I don't even know what flattery is anymore. Yeah. I know what people mean when they say they want something to be flattering, but I really don't know what it is. And if you think about it, a flattering picture, the standards are mutable. They're always changing.
Portraits do you think you've sat for in your life?
Probably counting drawings. Certainly a dozen.
It's good when a portrait painter knows how hard it is to be a model too. Mm-hmm. They have a certain respect for the sitter. If
anyone's going to talk, I'd rather it be my sitter. Monologuers are the best talking sitters. Sitters who talk and ask me questions are the worst. But anyway, I ask to be silent now in my sittings. I've never been a multitasker. My pictures are all signed and dated by my sitters, so I was just telling Eric I can often date friendships by my work.
Does it recall a memory better than maybe a picture might, or some writing of some kind, perhaps?
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Can you remember painting it, and it must bring back conversations you might have had?
It brings back a mood between us, and often just the light of a specific day.
Don, you've been painting in this area for many years, and I wonder who you've been influenced by, and who do you see as your greatest influences as a painter in this area in general?
Billy R. Bankston was the first artist I got to know at all well in Los Angeles, and he's always been an inspiration and role model for me. He's a true artist. His attitude to his work is exactly right from my point of view. Peter Alexander is the other artist I know well, and Tom Boodle is another artist I admire, and he knows a great deal about art, about the history of art, the role that the artist has played in the past, and he has a very good eye. He's a very astute critic of art. John Sonsini is the only artist, the LA artist I can think of, who actually does pictures of people from life.
I remember the time I brought some paintings to you to show you, and you could immediately tell which one was done from life, and you were absolutely right. There's something different about it. It's hard to describe, isn't it?
There has to be. Working from life is really the basic tenet of my work with people. I can't work from photographs. If you're just copying from a photograph, and especially a photograph taken maybe by somebody you don't even know, what's going on? It's such a solitary situation, not nearly as exciting as confronting another person. A sitting is a situation of heightened awareness because there are two live people confronting each other. That's a very dramatic relationship. Two people often engaging in eye-to-eye contact. How often does that happen in life? And yes, already there are psychological pressures, time pressures operating. I don't need acts like breaking ashtrays to heighten the effect. I've got quite enough to handle.
Yes.
And that's part of my belief in working from life, because It is a moment which is naturally fraught with tension, because there's really something going on. Two people are interacting. They must be producing an awful lot of electricity with each of their fields.
Now, you often take an opportunity, if you can, to paint someone more than once if time allows and so on. Do you often find that the first painting is the best, or is there...
You mean a number of paintings within
the same sitting?
I've sometimes done a first picture of somebody I can't better in the subsequent tries.
Yes.
And other times, for many years, I believed in doing 3 pictures of a sitter in each sitting, and I believe that the third one, most often, the best of the 3.
Do you think that might have something to do with the fact that you've gotten to know that person through the first 2?
Yeah, sure. And it's a question of warming up, of loosening up, and the more time you spend with someone, the more communication is likely to be taking place, and that certainly influences painting I'm doing. Sometimes as sittings go on, there tends to be less communication, so there aren't any rules.
Okay.
So
who was your most difficult sitting? Is there someone that...
Oh, there have been so many difficult ones. I'm overwhelmed at even thinking of a particular one.
Okay.
And of course, if a sitter is world famous, that doesn't quiet down the situation in the least little bit. It just adds to the high stakes involved.
The art, in many ways, lies within the time spent, the relationship, and the product of this, so to speak, is important, but not always perhaps the most interesting or significant part of the experience.
Just getting lost in the work in which I'm not thinking about the painting itself, I'm into the experience of looking and responding to what I'm looking at. The experience itself is so absorbing that I can forget myself. And that really is maybe my greatest motivation for working, is just to get out of myself and to be thinking about somebody else, to be looking at somebody else and identifying with that person seems to me as a good occupation I can think of for a day's accomplishment. My work is currently being catalogued, and we've gone way beyond the 10,000 mark.
Wow. Maybe a sitting that just stood out in your mind as a particular joy.
It's an ongoing process.
Yes.
The latest enjoyable sitting is as good as anything I can think of from 20, 30, 40 years ago. Of course, again, working with famous people tends to make experiences more vivid, but even that one gets over after a while.
How did you cope with people who wouldn't cooperate and wouldn't let you paint them?
I've certainly had to learn to be flexible because I can't always have my way. And if I've asked her for a sitting, especially from some well-known person, I can't really dictate the terms. I have to make whatever conditions they provide me with sufficient for me to do some kind of work. There's no way of predicting who's going to be a good sitter. There's no method that suits all occasions for coaxing my sitter to give me what I want from him or her.
Do you ever remember someone who just wouldn't sit for you and you were
sure.
very disappointed?
Yeah, sure. There was an actor named Richard Harris who intentionally did everything he could to make it impossible for me to work. By moving, by talking, by getting up, by disappearing, by laughing, by being cute, thinking, oh, wasn't it cute to frustrate me? He thinks he's going to get me to sit still. Well, I'm going to show him just who does he think he is.
And did you get the portrait?
I always come away with something. Rarely anything that I would ever dream of exhibiting publicly. Joan Fontaine, another actor who I don't even know why she agreed to sit for me. She seemed determined to defeat me. And having watched her in many movies, I couldn't possibly claim surprise at being confronted by the living perversity of her. She'd been using it in her performances all those years. I couldn't say I hadn't been forewarned. And I, of course, could pick up his first hints at relaxation in front of me. And by the end of the drawing, which was not a very good one, I was encouraged to suggest doing a second one and even a third one. And the second and third pictures turned out to be some of the very best work I did of that particular period. So if I could bring good work out of a situation of that kind, I never had grounds for refusing a sitting with anyone else. If I could do a reasonable portrait of a very distinguished, talented man wearing both an eye patch and dark glasses, and who was apprehensive of me, I felt I could do just about anything. So that was very encouraging. And experiences like that are golden to a beginning artist.
Tell me the name of the man again?
Fritz Lang. Oh, my goodness. Gosh, what a lot you got done. Oh, I like that. Oh yes, that's remarkable. Yes, that's amazing how quickly you work.
Almost the process is really the gift to me, and the result is important, but getting this opportunity was really the highlight for me. This process, I think, has a less exacting nature than some other processes might have, because we did do a lot of talking throughout, and I like to feel to get the movement is more important than an accurate, exact likeness or anything.
I used to be able to talk to my sitter while I was working if the sitter made it clear that he wanted to talk, and in fact sometimes it was a condition of the sitting that my sitter was allowed to talk, and so I would engage. But for years now I've imposed silence, and I think I've gotten spoiled. I don't know that I could work and talk anymore at the same time.